Welcome to the DJ Insider Podcast, sponsored by Amplified Events.
It's the only podcast where we break down insider information from our weddings, experiences, and advice from over 15 years in the wedding industry.
We're your hosts. I'm Mike Kane, owner of Amplified Events.
And I'm Chris Zart, general manager of Amplified Events.
Let's get into it. Well, welcome back. We are here, episode 16, and we have a very special guest.
Yeah.
Eric Jaeger of MB Events. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming.
Absolutely. Like I said, my first ever podcast. So an honor being here on yours.
Yeah, I'm so glad I'm so glad you were on this one with us. And so you own MB Events.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that. How'd you guys begin? What service you offer? All that.
So I am a single op, and I started longer than I like to admit. I'm going to date myself a little bit, but I started DJing in the nightclubs on vinyl. Yeah. So that was my start, my first 10 years of DJing. Then I started moving into private events, weddings, stuff like that. And I ended up becoming a house DJ at a local venue. Through that, I ended up, my events went up to about 80 to 100 a year, myself as a single op.
Man.
A little crazy. Yeah. Then I met my wife, and she was a photographer. And the thing about her that I saw different than what I was doing is she had a tremendous relationship with her couples. And so I just wanted to learn a lot more about that. And that is when I changed. I used to be the music boys. So when I started, and then I moved to MB Events, and that's kind of where I exist now.
Okay.
It's a little bit different.
What would you say is kind of your signature kind of style, your brand? What kind of sets you apart from other DJs in the area?
Well, I think as far as, man, it was a long road. I'll tell you that. And for the longest time, I equated success with number of events, how packed I could get dance floors. And then again, like I said, when I met my wife and I had a different outlook because I saw the relationship she had with her couples. And I said, I want that. I want that. Because, you know, as a DJ, we're running a business. If you're running a business, it's not a hobby.
That's right.
You're making money to support your family, right? And so with that, you have to figure out how can I make more money doing this. And a lot of times, I think I went to buying more stuff. DJs want to get into the world of lighting and dancing on a cloud and monograms and photo booths, and we can add stuff, which adds value. But at the same time, not everybody wants that stuff.
Yeah.
And as a single op, you're kind of limited if you book weddings and they just want you to show up and throw a great party. So I needed to figure out a way to be able to show more value to my couples, to be able to charge more for just myself. And with that, I sought out education and becoming a better version of myself to be able to deliver a different product to my couples. And I think a key word that you hear a lot from DJs is experience. You know, a lot of people say we want to give you a personalized experience. That's what I want to do, but to a level beyond just the words.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. It's not mouth service. It's not a line on a website.
Right.
You really mean that.
Yes.
You and I did a wedding. We talked briefly, Chris and I talked about it, just the one we recorded before this. You let me attend one of your weddings with you last weekend.
Yes.
It was a phenomenal.
Not let you. I invited you.
Sorry.
I wanted you to be there.
It was an honor. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. You're going to come to mine tomorrow, so I'm excited
Absolutely.
to do that as well. I want you to be there as well. And one thing, when I originally met you, that struck me, DJs, it's a big kind of ego thing. We're running this dance floor.
Oh, huge.
We're the party guys. We're running the party. And so that can come with a lot of competition.
Yeah.
But something immediately, the first time I met you was like, you're very much a collaborative person over a competitive person.
Yes.
And that's kind of who I am. So I just immediately was like, you invited me out. You're like, come out, meet these guys. I met a bunch of other DJs in the industry. And I was just immediately struck by how dedicated you are to education, to bettering yourself. You and Trish both you go to conferences, you go to training seminars, you have mentors. You're always finding a way to, how can I make this experience better for the couple? And so I got to see that firsthand, see that couple. And that was what a wedding that was.
Yeah.
You want to share a few details about that? If you want.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would love to. I would love to. So the setup for this wedding, and I was so happy that you were able to come to this one, because this couple they're a couple that's very special to me. I know their families, and I have history with the family. The story of this wedding started 4 years ago, because I was lucky enough to be there for the proposal moment. Not only be there for the proposal moment, but actually assist the groom in setting up the proposal.
Man.
Is it all right if I kind of share
Yes,
that?
please. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That was all part of it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really cool.
So I was, the wedding that we did was Zach and Briley. And he comes from a family that is just such a close-knit family. Family values are everything to him. Their families don't do anything apart. Everything is centered around family. Briley is the same way. Family's everything. And their two families are intertwined because they've been together since 5th grade, since they've been 10 years old. Unreal. And I was DJing 4 years earlier. I was DJing his sister's wedding, Alyssa and Mike. And they were also high school sweethearts, as are their parents. And both sets of their parents still together, both high school sweethearts. And when I was meeting with Alyssa in one of our meetings and getting to know them better and understand them better, she said, "Hey, Eric, I have a request. And my brother wants to propose to his girlfriend at my wedding." And that would normally be a very taboo.
Don't do that. Yeah.
No, absolutely
This is your
not.
day, not anyone else's day.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, how do you feel about that?" And she said, "I want this to happen. I want to give this gift to him." And she said, "Also, it will allow my entire family, everyone that's important to us, to be there and experience this moment." Okay, that's pretty cool. So she said he has an idea how he wants to do it. Now, I want to be respectful and talk to him, but then again, he hasn't even graduated high school yet. He's a senior in high school at this point in time. So I called him up and I said, "Hey, Zach, I hear you want to propose to your girlfriend. Congratulations. How do you see this happening?" And he said, "Eric, I have this great idea. I'm going to have my sister fake throw the bouquet, and then she's going to turn around and hand it to Briley, and I'm going to be on a knee proposing." I said, "I love that idea." I said, "But let's think about the outcome. Who do you want to see this moment? Who do you want to be watching this moment?" And he said, "Well, everybody." And I said, "Well, let's think about the bouquet. How many bouquet tosses have you watched in your life?" He's like, "None." I said, "Okay, exactly. A lot of people might be checked out for this moment."
That's right. Or gone already.
Or gone.
Yeah.
Right. Good point. And so I said, what if I could do something to set this moment up? And I'm not going to exactly tell you what it is because I haven't thought about it yet, but I'm going to come up with something if you trust me. And I promise you that everyone in that room will be around you and Briley at that moment. Your closest family, everyone will be there as you propose to her. Will you trust me to do that? And he said, "Eric, absolutely." I said, "Okay." And so at this wedding, when I was having my final appointment with Alyssa and Mike, and I started talking about the married couples dance, which, the anniversary dance and all of that. And so, a lot of times the goal is to find the longest married couple, of course, and different DJs do it different ways. They have people leave the dance floor, this or that. I like to keep everyone on the dance floor and keep the longer married couples in the center where everyone else makes a circle around them, and we really honor those longer married couples.
That's a good idea.
Right? So that's what we did for this. And as I was talking about this, I asked Alyssa and Mike, I said, "You guys are high school sweethearts. Your parents are both high school sweethearts. Who do you think the longest married couple is?" And she's like, "Oh, it's going to be my grandparents," right? Okay. Tell me a little bit about them. I would love to know a little background before I went and maybe interviewed them at the end. Well, they're high school sweethearts as well. I said, oh my gosh. They've been married, 52 years and they're high school sweethearts. Okay.
Long-term commitment, this
Yes.
whole family.
Yes. I said, okay, how many high school sweethearts do we have at this wedding? Now there's 300 guests there. So it's a big wedding to start. She started thinking and writing down names. And once we got to about a dozen, I said, okay, you need to go home and figure this out. And then just email me all the couples' names, how long they've been together. When she emailed me, it was 31 couples.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
31 high school sweethearts
That are
still married at that wedding.
At this wedding.
My goodness.
Yes. So the way we did the married couples dances, we did it like normal. We found our longest married couple. We talked to them, found out they were high school sweethearts. Everyone found out in the room. And then I said, in addition to you guys and Alyssa and Mike and your parents all being high school sweethearts, we have some other couples here that are high school sweethearts. And I started reading off the names and I had them all come out. And everyone in that room was up out of their seats and they were gathered around. They couldn't believe this many couples.
31 couples. That's what,
31.
62 people.
Yeah.
Like that's
Right. A third of the wedding
Yeah.
practically
is on the dance floor.
on the dance floor and everyone else is watching. And then I turned my attention over here and I said, in addition to all of these couples, this is amazing, but we also have some couples here that are high school sweethearts, but aren't married yet. And who's that? And there's 4 couples over here. Okay. Out of these couples, who's been together the longest? And they all point at Zach and Briley. And I went up to Briley and I said, Briley, and this is a complete shock to her, and she's not ready to be on a microphone, but I said, what is it about Zach that, you guys have been together since 5th grade. What is it about him? And she said something super sweet, of course. And then I handed to Mike the Zach, and then I just got the heck out of the picture. No. This is his moment. And the picture that Trish captured, my wife was shooting the wedding with grandma and his brothers and everyone in the background. Everyone they love is in this picture as he's down on one knee and she's just in tears, right? So that's where the story of this.
That's the proposal of the wedding.
That's the proposal of the wedding that we did.
Oh, my goodness.
Right.
Oh, my goodness.
So our wedding was, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
We didn't quite share that, but a lot of people in the room knew about it. But I got to I got to share their love story, and which is another thing that a lot of times that I will do with couples is share their love story, and we kind of mentioned it a little bit in the love story. But I think I would ask you, what did you about that wedding? What did you see different? What kind of feelings did you get? Or
I mean, right away, there was that feeling of like love and excitement and fun in the air. That's not at every wedding. It does happen, but it's not every wedding I do. But then the longer I stayed, I got to see that that's a curated thing, and it comes from who you are and how you respond, how you work with your couples. And I the more that the night went on, I could see how many little details that you had not left to chance. You had met with them. You had talked to them. You had talked to the people giving speeches about their speech. You got photos from the couple, they were together since 5th grade, from every dance they went to together.
Yeah.
You got those, put them together in a slideshow, and then you even got a photo with the couple walking up the aisle at the wedding, the day of the wedding from your wife, a professional wedding photo, and you edited it during dinner at that wedding and put it on. So at their first dance, at the very end of their first dance, that photo came up.
Yeah.
And you got to see the reaction on Briley's face, which was just melting, excited. So that's one thing. There was so many other things. You did the mother-son dance. You had tons of photos of them, the mom and the son over the years. The father-daughter, the same thing.
Right.
Such a unique, fun way that I've never seen done before. I've seen, of course, couples do that, where they'll have a couple slideshows and they'll put it on a TV and it's just going on in the background during cocktail. That's nice. It's a really beautiful way to kind of have some memories. I've seen couples do photos at their tables, of different them throughout the years, young, another cool idea.
Right.
I've never seen a DJ go to that level of detail, that level of commitment with the only goal. They weren't paying you extra for that.
Right.
The goal was to make it a fun and memorable, special experience for the couple that they'll have for the rest of their lives.
Right.
And to hear that not only did you help curate the the wedding the day of, but you were part of the proposal too.
Yeah.
That is so cool. And you even had photos of the proposal that,
Right.
you know, which a lot of people don't have that, you know?
Right.
So what a unique and fun moment that I immediately could tell when you did the introductions. You had every person, you would introduce them. You would share a little thing about them, about, you know, how they know the couple, some fun things, and then they would have a quick dance off and they would go back to their seat. The energy, initially as a DJ, I was like, that's going to kill the energy. What is he doing? You know?
Yes.
But it did not. And in fact, the crowd was super involved, super thrilled. They voted on kind of who they thought was the best. You had the parents kind of be the judges of that. And it was just so detailed and so fun that it really set up the rest of the wedding for a huge success.
Yeah.
I could tell every person in that room was having a good time, and you hadn't even played a dance song yet.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
Like they were itching to get on the dance floor by the time dancing started. You didn't have to do a game or a gimmick. You didn't have to play all we played some of the classics, but you didn't have to. It was obvious that you'd already set up, and I think the couple too, both of their families were like, we want to celebrate this. This is so important to us.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. I'm trying to like the chicken or the egg. Did this couple find you because you're you? Or did you find them because you're you?
Yeah.
But I wasn't terribly surprised that families who really value commitment, connection, the details, those getting the little things right. It's not one thing, it's everything. I was not surprised at all to see that perfectly lined up with everything you're doing at that wedding. You were the only DJ who could have done that wedding. Like,
that's super
you know what I'm
nice
saying?
to
Like,
say. No,
I'm like, I would have messed this one up. I would.
No, I don't
You know?
believe. Yeah, gosh, that is such a huge compliment to say that.
It's just what I saw. It's just the facts of what I saw.
Yeah, that's a huge compliment from you, who I respect. You know, and I think, that being said, I think there's a whole lot of couples that I would be a terrible choice as their DJ. You know, people that just want a raging dance party.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a different value. You know, couples have to place their values.
Their priorities.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Their priorities. And whether it be on the decor, on the venue, on whatever those values are. And then they invest fully in that. And I think their values should be based off of the outcome that they see.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know how many people think about their outcome. When you think about, you know, I always ask my couples, give me 3 moments in the day, any part of the day, from the time you wake up until the end, till the time you leave this wedding. Give me 3 moments that you're looking forward to more than anything. And I listen to them. And even if that moment isn't happening at the reception, it still gives me insight into where their heart is and to what they're dreaming about, and how can we help shape the entertainment at the reception to enhance those moments that they're talking about, right?
Yes.
Now, all of this doesn't happen by accident. I would never be able to come up with all of this on my own. A lot of it is done through continuing education, training, workshops, you know, all of that stuff that you've invested in, you know, finding mentors and people that you can talk to. So luckily I've sought that out, and I found tremendous people, whether it be Second City in Chicago, some people in the DJ space and outside the DJ space, that allow me the freedom to be creative, and to think of these things. And when I get stuck, I call up my mentors and I say, hey, I'm stuck. And they give me great ideas. I had a wedding. It was a same-sex wedding, you know, 2 gentlemen getting married, and it was down in Rensselaer. Now, the challenge here is they were having almost 400 people at their wedding.
Goodness.
Was their guest list. And of these 400 people, I'm guessing maybe none of them have been to a same-sex wedding before in their life. Okay, this is just, we're talking an hour south of here in Indiana.
Yes.
It's a different culture. Yeah. So how do we get this room excited about these 2 guys and about their love for each other? It was just something I had to keep in my mind, and I was going to share their love story as well. Now, this whole room loves them as individuals, you know, but still we want to celebrate the fact that
These two found each other.
They
And
found
they're
each
getting
other.
married, and
They're in love,
Yes.
and we need to celebrate this because they are an amazing couple together. And I called up one of my mentors the night before the wedding, and I told him about my fear of just approaching this. And what he said to me, he said, Eric, everyone that got an invitation to that wedding had a choice to either be there or not be there. And if they're there, they're supporting them.
That's a good point. They're already all in.
And it put me a little bit at ease thinking, okay, I'm overthinking this, you know, and their wedding, the speeches that night were just, I was crying when the brother was giving a speech. It was, oh man, what he said, some of the things that he said just brought that whole room together. And a lot of what I do when I'm thinking about, when I'm, I wouldn't say I'm picking couples, but when I'm trying to determine if a couple that I'm sitting across from when I'm meeting them for the first time, are they going to benefit? Am I going to be able to serve this couple, you know, the way that I enjoy serving people? And are they going to benefit from having me as their DJ? A lot of the things are they're very selfless. They're more concerned with their guests because that will put they'll be able to enjoy themselves if they know their guests are having a great time. And a lot of that comes before the dance floor opens, right? And
So much of the plan,
yes,
part of it goes into the.
And I tell them, 80% of the value that what you're paying me is going to happen before our wedding day gets here.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
And by the time the wedding day gets there, we're friends. We're basically family at this point.
Yes.
And they're just like, Eric, whatever you decide to do, you have our best interest at heart. You know what we want, and we just trust you to get us there.
Yeah.
So,
And you definitely got them there.
Yeah.
And you went above and beyond. I mean, their trust was well placed. I mean, you had so many details that I was blown away. That the level of planning, the level of practice, you had print off sheets of we're going to do this, we're going to do this. You had an assistant with you. Here's the plan. Every wedding, some things you have this great plan. And then guess what? There's going to be things that don't. Yeah. It was a super hot day for the ceremony. We were melting out there.
Yeah.
But everything went on time, went according to plan. The photo booth was difficult to set up, get
we
going.
Had difficulty, yeah.
But you just remained calm, you remained professional, and you just kept working the system, kept doing your plan, kept making adjustments. But none of the guests knew. Nobody knew behind the scenes. The couple didn't know. They had an amazing day that they'll remember, and their families did too.
Yeah.
That's what really struck me is that so many people were out there on that dance floor. At the end of the night, you had that big photo, the Cool Kids Club. Everybody was still there. Nobody left.
Right.
They wasn't. Trish was like, "Get in." There was too many people to get in the shot. And both you and Trish were just professional and on it and organized. And you could tell there was things that were stressing you out, but nobody knew.
Right.
And but to me, it was it all goes back to day one of when you sat down with this couple, you're providing value right off the bat with even before you sat down, before they were even they weren't even engaged yet. You sat down with this guy and he had a great idea. Why don't I do this? But then you thought, as your experience as a DJ, that's not going to work because of my experience.
Right.
It's not going to go the way you think. We talk about that on the podcast.
Right.
Of course, proposing at a bouquet toss, great idea.
Yeah.
It's not going to work only because there's not going to be a lot of people there.
Right.
People are not going to be, all of the single guys are going to be at the bar. They're not going to be focused on what's happening.
Yeah.
Some of the older folks, grandma, may not be there for the bouquet toss. So how can you make this is your wife, let's make it more memorable, let's make it more special. As a DJ, let me give you my insider experience and knowledge to help you plan and curate that perfect day. And it sounds like you set them up perfectly.
Yeah.
And the bride had no idea.
None.
And you just hand the mic off to the
right.
And he's ready to go. And
his family did not even know, other than his sister, his sister and his parents, but his brothers, who he's really close with, had no idea. And the look of shock in their faces in that picture, and they were literally patting him on the back. I remember him just cheering him on, like, "Oh my God, he's doing this," And so, it was just an awesome moment. And I think that moment is curated by listening to the couple.
Yeah.
When you ask them, how do you want this moment to look and feel? Just tell me that. And then our experience as being able to set things up and to understand transitioning in and out of moments, where people will be, we can take our experience and help set that moment up to give them the outcome that they know that they want. They just don't have the experience or know how to make it happen.
Because they don't do weddings for a living.
Right.
We go to hundreds of these, thousands of
Right.
these things. And, they want the shoe game, and they want it in the middle of the dance floor. That's not going to go the way you think. But if you want that moment, I think I know what you're after.
Yeah.
Here's how we can make that a special moment. And a
100%.
unique moment, and maybe not a cliched moment,
Yes.
Because that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of couples, especially today, want to avoid. I get this, a lot of couples inquiring, and when I'm working with them on planning their wedding, they want to go non-traditional. And really what they're saying is that they want to avoid things that couples and people have experienced and seen before. This is my wedding we're talking
Yes.
about. I want a unique experience.
What's your answer to that? I'm going to put you on the
Yeah,
spot. I'm
right?
sorry.
No, what's my answer to that? I was like, well, what is unique to you? What
Yeah.
and I break down what are your priorities?
Yes.
Because I was like, we talk about too on the podcast is that you can't have everything. There's just not enough hours in the day. There's not enough dollars in your bank.
Right.
There's not enough people that can make this, but you can have a few things. What is most important to you? Give me the top two or three moments, top two or three things that are really important to you. And I will help you, given my experience, plan that day and make that day, make those things, those moments happen.
Absolutely.
And then, as a DJ, you're always kind of testing the crowd. Is you play a song, if they like this one, they're going to like this.
Yeah.
And I can see that a part of your planning, you do that too. You ask questions, you listen to the responses. You like this? What if we tried this?
Right.
And you kind of lead them and build that moment for them. And then you even throw in some surprises.
Right.
You're playing, I call it, you play the song they didn't know they wanted to hear. That slideshow, those moments, that proposal, those were all moments that they knew they wanted but didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And they put their trust in a person who knew exactly how to do it and went above and beyond in a way that involved their families, involved memories from photos from the past. I've never been to a wedding like it.
Oh, that's
it's really
awesome.
cool.
That is a goal for sure when I'm meeting with couples, and I love to have them look at reviews, and hopefully my reviews will say more than he packed the dance floor.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot, because in my first meeting with couple, and even in my discovery meeting, which is our second meeting, I have 4 meetings with my couples. Our second meeting, we don't even talk about music. We're not talking about music until like our third meeting. Just because music is, I don't want to say it's secondary. It's going to be important, but the success of this wedding is set up far before we start dancing.
So many more things than just the music.
Yeah. And a funny story about this wedding with Zach and Briley. I had asked you to DJ a little bit. I said, hey, Micah, why don't you spin a little bit? And within like 3 songs, like you were going hard, man. You were hitting them, and
That's not my plan.
And I was like, oh my gosh, he's just playing all the bangers now. And but you know what I did is I looked at the room, and I'm just like, look at this dancer. Like he has got them. They're salivating for more. Like he has got them in a frenzy. And I was just like, I was admiring it. Honestly, I was like, holy cow, And because you played one song that I was like, I said, this song I didn't even know the song existed on my computer. And I'm like, he's playing this song, and okay, but they like it. And then you just kept going, and I'm like, he's got them eating out of his hand right now. So I thought it was cool, and I loved the fact that we can go a different direction.
Yeah.
And just take them anywhere. But then again, we could have played anything.
That's right.
And they were going to be excited.
They were going to have a good time either way.
But you took it to another level.
Yes. I had a different plan. I was going to play Shut Up and Dance. I understand as a DJ, there's a pacing.
Right.
And the podcast previous to this, we talked about when to play a song.
Yeah.
Early, middle, and late. There's times you don't play those. You burn them. You don't want to burn a late song early.
Right.
Guests are not going to respond. They're not ready for that energy that song brings.
Right.
And it's not planning to do that. It's a huge honor to be invited to another DJ's wedding and observe. It's even bigger honor for that DJ to trust you to get on their turntables and take over their dance floor. That's a huge thing. And so I was not trying to take that lightly. And then I was going to play Shut Up and Dance. And the groom comes up and was like, Gazzo remix of Best Day of My Life. I was like, okay, he's the groom. Let's go. And that's the song that luckily was in your
lit
library.
up the room.
And it went nuts. So I was like, and as a DJ, I've learned you don't want to like put that energy out. You built up this flame of a fire. You want to give it more, more tender. You don't want to, and then eventually you will, you'll have it, peaks and valleys, tension and release, but you don't want to just kill that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we're going to have to go to later in the night songs.
We
It's
poured
the only
gas
thing.
on it right
That's
there.
what and when you came out, I was like, oh no, I probably played a lot of later songs that he was planning, but I was like, not my plan, but I just wanted to keep them dancing.
I think as DJs, we get into some ruts, and you threw some songs out, and in my mind, I'm thinking, oh man, I'd love to do this mix with this
Later,
song.
yes, yeah,
and
you
I'm
already
not
had it in
going to
your-
be able to. But at the same time, I'm like, this is good because it's going to get me out of any routine. You know what I mean? Because I don't like routine and doing the same things, and so it forced me to think. And then we just were bouncing back and forth on the turntables all night, and it was great.
Yeah, we got really into that, and it was a good rhythm and a good back and forth. And you kind of, humans, we get into a routine. We know, I know this is going to work.
Yeah.
And so you okay, now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do this. And when another person comes in and they're like, let's just throw a wrench in that whole thing.
And
where are we going to go next?
Yeah. And some of them, I would play a song and you would say, what do you normally play after this? And we were on the same, we both did the exact same song afterwards.
Yes.
It was the Wobble and Partying USA.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we went a different, and I did something, remember, and I played it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these sound amazing together, whatever the two were.
Yeah.
And I said, I've never done this before, but it was just fantastic.
Yeah. There were so many moments like that where it was just, oh, think about this, what about this? And then how about this? And like, yes, they're going to love that one.
Yeah.
I knew the moment you load up some of those songs, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And there were so many, I was using a different software than I was used to. There were so many weird things. I'm like, I want to do a good job. I don't want to ruin it. I want to wreck it, So it was really cool.
It was.
What is something that you feel like you wish more couples knew about hiring a DJ or about DJs at your wedding?
Man.
If we could give a little piece of advice for people listening or planning their wedding or if they're already booked or they're about to be a guest at a wedding.
Yeah.
Little things that, as a DJ, here's my inside scoop. I wish you guys knew about this kind of stuff.
I brought some notes.
Oh, perfect.
Man, I'm
yes,
so
please.
sorry
No,
that I have
that's why
a
my
little
phone.
cheat sheet.
That's great. That's what we want.
Because sometimes my thoughts get all scattered and squirrel and all of that. Boy, oh boy. I would, you know what? And I think we kind of touched on it. And we did touch on it when you're thinking about your own wedding or you're a guest at another wedding and maybe you're engaged or you're going to be engaged or you're looking for a DJ. I think the biggest thing you can think about is think about your outcome. Think about what specific things do you want people to say about your wedding? Do you want them to say it was the most beautiful wedding I've ever been to? Okay, then hire that. Put your money there.
Yeah, the food was delicious.
The food was
The
delicious. Okay,
drinks.
put your money there,
Yeah.
So think about what you want people to say about your wedding. My goal for people that hire me is I want people to tell them, I have never in my life been to a wedding before and felt like this at a wedding.
Wow.
So that's my goal for couples. And that's for couples that hire me. That's kind of what they want people to say to them. I want people to actually thank them. Like, oh my God, thank you for letting me be a part of this day.
Wow.
It was just, because there's things that we're going to do that people have never seen. And, I tell people that the same things happen at every wedding. You say you don't want traditional,
Yeah.
but you're going to have introductions. You're going to have a cake cutting.
That's
You're
the
going to have
dirty
first
secret
dances.
of it.
You're going to have all these things. Now, we may get rid of bouquet and garter because those are going kind of by the wayside, just because of the cheesiness behind them. And
Sure.
Unless you find a unique way to do them, then maybe you shouldn't do something. Even cake cutting has become, is this cake important? Did someone in your family make this cake? Is there something about this cake, the flavor, whatever it is? Maybe this cake cutting is special for a reason, or maybe just the symbolism of that cake cutting and what that signifies historically. Maybe that's important to you as a couple. I don't know. But we'll talk about that. Maybe the cake cutting can just happen off in a corner and you just get some pictures of it. And we don't even need to acknowledge it. We don't need to interrupt the room to acknowledge this cake cutting, but it happens. You get your pictures. But then we open up the dessert table for everybody else or whatever happens, But I think for couples, it would really think about the outcome. What outcome do you want? What are your moments that you're looking forward to the most? And who's going to best serve you in providing those moments? So when you talk to DJs, or other vendors, see if you get that feeling from that they're going to be able to provide that for you.
Does it line up with what your goals are, with who?
Exactly.
Get a vibe.
And when people say, listen, we want a raging dance floor, we want DJs out there dancing and just hyping up the crowd, that's probably, honestly, that's not me. I'm a little bit more laid back. I did hire an assistant that is that is, I always have an assistant, and she's an awesome DJ as well, but she's always dancing when she's DJing, and I love that energy about her.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought that, so I can have some of that as well. But if people say that this is what they want, and they rate success by how many groomsmen are throwing up in the bathroom at the end of the night.
You're doing some drinking games.
Yeah. I may not be the best choice.
Yeah.
You know?
Doesn't look like not a good fit.
But if you really want your guests to say these kinds of things, and you want them to feel like just so blessed that they were able to be there and celebrate with you, then let's talk about that and how I can help with that. Yeah. So those are the people I serve.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are some common mistakes that you think DJs, especially maybe younger DJs listening, or young DJs make at weddings that you're like I call it cringeworthy, that are like, oh, why did you do it that way? Oh no,
Oh man, gosh, I think
even as part of the sales process or any kind of thing.
No, I think a lot of it, and myself included, as a younger DJ, I would try to see what the next big thing was. What do I need to latch on to? And instead of just finding your own voice and your own style. But yeah, for me, I think it's trying to copy versus being original.
Be authentically yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I struggled with that for the longest time. Probably, I'm going to date myself, but probably 20 years. And it's only been the last 8 to 10 years that I've been on this path.
Yes. Yeah.
For 20 years, I just thought I just needed to make people dance.
Yeah.
And
what's the quickest best
say
way
the
I can do
exact
that?
same thing on the microphone every time.
Yeah.
And just change the names. And that's it.
Yeah. Even some of the same mixes, same songs.
Same mix. Yeah, because they work. And, I was afraid of change. Yeah. So I guess some of the mistakes, maybe being, I don't know, maybe, I've seen terrible moments with the bouquet and garter. And my wife comes home, being a photographer, my wife comes home and she will say, Eric, I just saw some terrible things tonight.
Oh, no.
Being unprepared is huge. If you're unprepared and you don't know how to pronounce names or what order people are walking in, just the simplest of things. If you're going to have a microphone in your hand, know what you're going to say before you start talking.
Yes. Yeah. It really sets up. If it's awkward, the crowd feels awkward.
Yeah.
But if you are confident, you're putting people at ease.
Yeah.
And then we came to have a good time. You're reminding them we're here to celebrate,
Yeah.
There's so much you can do with your voice as an MC that really sets your night up for success or, complete utter disaster.
Yeah.
Especially if you get on and you're awkward. I guess we're going to do the intros now. And let's hear. And then you mispronounce the bride and groom's names or,
Yeah.
There's so many things that.
Those are simple things that you can do.
For me, early on in my DJ career, there's so much about you need to be competent and you need to be confident that I did a lot of talking when I met with my couples planning.
Yes.
And now I'm really trying to do more listening.
Yes.
Because I've learned that the ones where I really know the couple, those ones always go so much better.
Right.
I know what to do, when to do it, which songs to play, which songs not to, how to handle those little snafus that come up. They come up every wedding. Little things that happen. You just have to keep working. But I'm trying to do that where I want to listen more. I want to ask good questions, get them to be insightful and think about what do you want? What is your goal? What do you want your guests to feel? What do you want to feel?
Yeah.
And then hearing their responses and then hearing what they want. And then I can use my expertise to help make that happen and help, curate that moment, that atmosphere.
Yeah.
The same way I do with picking the song.
Yeah. And I guess the dilemma you get into, it could be, is this scalable? Because it is absolutely not scalable to spend this kind of time with people. You would rather have a system and a process. So I guess the compromise would be to kind of have a system and a process in place that also allows you to get to know them the way that you want to intimately, in a way that you understand exactly what they want. Now you can still do that maybe with questionnaires or this or that, but I just find FaceTime is my favorite way to get that out of people.
Yeah, really getting
and
to know
listen.
them. Yes.
That's so important that people do not listen, especially DJs. They're not DJs are. We say we have the biggest egos, but we're the most insecure people.
Yeah, that's why we're playing the music that's not even our own.
Yes,
you know?
yes. We're so insecure that, and when you're insecure, you talk constantly. I feel like I've been talking a lot today now. So
you're fine. You're fine. This is a podcast. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, but in a sales meeting, you should really it's really about listening, and listening not just to listen and to respond, but listening to understand. And it takes a lot of strength and courage, and it has not happened very often at all with me, but because most times when people come in, they're sitting in a first appointment with me, and like an interview appointment, I guess you'd say. But there's times where I just know, just listening to this couple, that I'm not the person that's going to best serve what the things that they're talking about. And, you really can't just say, hey, I don't think I'm the right guy for you, but I may say, listen, based on what you're talking about and the things that I do, I may be a really expensive option for what you want. I'll say that because I will be, because they don't want a lot of these things that I put a lot of work and time and effort into to make their wedding this, when they don't want their wedding to be that. Yeah. They want it to be this, and this may not be as much effort. So in my mind, they're going to be spending more than what they need to. They can get this from a lot of people. And not to say I'm special in any way. It's just the things that the
experience you provide is a very unique experience too. And it's for couples who want what we saw on Saturday.
Yeah.
They want a very family, detailed, above and beyond experience. It's not, you were not just playing press and play.
Yeah.
You mixed all the songs. You went above and beyond is what you would ever expect from a DJ. It was like you were a wedding planner and moment curator, and literally like got to know everybody in the family, intimate. You knew that there was 5 generations of the family there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily know that. I wouldn't think to ask that.
Yeah.
But that was a huge, and then they mentioned it in the speech too. It's like, wow, we do have 5 generations.
Yeah.
It's kind of dawned on people that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
I think it's so interesting how people find, this career, and then there's certain things that they love about it. What initially attracts you, before I did this, I was a therapist, and I was dealing with people's problems and listening, and, and then I was doing this for the extra money. It was like, this is a great way to make some extra money. And then when I got into it, I started to realize this is a great way to connect with other people and to be a part of this big day in somebody's life.
Yeah.
And I know that you do another job on the side too. What can you tell a little bit about that? And
so I am a career firefighter, a full-time firefighter. You're a therapist?
I was, yeah.
Oh,
not anymore. Now I do podcasts and DJ.
Yeah, but what a fantastic.
I used to do couples counseling, and
what a fantastic to have that background, and then to be able to have the understanding to be able to do this as well. And I think being a fireman as well.
Yeah.
My whole job as a fireman is to serve.
Yes.
And and also to stay calm under pressure,
putting out fires literally at weddings, and
and so to be able to show up on the scene, and whether it be medical or a fire or whatever, and to know I have the training to know what to do in any situation, and we're presented with situations at the fire department that we maybe have never seen before. But from my training, I know what to do in a situation, and I can remain calm because of that. So to translate to the DJ world, I go to so much training and improv and all of these different things, so that if the moment arises, I can, just shift on it, and I don't need to get worked up or excited.
Yeah.
I can just stay calm, and so luckily, people are always pretty happy to see me at both of my jobs.
Yes. Yeah. We had Joe Christian on last week, and he's a police officer.
Yeah.
We talked about people aren't happy to see you usually.
Yeah.
And then now they are as a DJ. You know?
Yeah. Firemen have the luxury of most of the time, they're pretty happy to see us.
Yes.
When we get there. Cops, police officer, to be
Enforcing the
respectful.
law, it's a different thing.
Not as much, but I'm happy when they're on scene when I need them there.
Yes,
for
absolutely.
Sure. We have a great relationship with the police and the fire department, obviously. And yeah, Joe, that's funny. But it's funny how we all come from kind of the same thing of serving people.
Yes.
And that's where we find kind of our joy.
And focus on training and training in high stress situations where you can, you know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what to do and remain cool and, do the best you can in that moment.
And be definitive in what you're doing and not, oh, should I do that? There's no time. You have to make a decision now and move forward with that decision.
Yeah, the best you can. Here's what I have available, and this is what I got to do now.
Yeah. Luckily, those moments don't come up too much, but should they come up, we can go with it. Well, at this wedding, we had the photo booth, and the photo booth was acting up, and I'm running through scenarios and how to get this fixed, and then I'm getting people coming up to me, and they're saying, my wife says, "Hey, sunset is happening in this amount of time, and you need to get your first dances done so I could take the couple out." And so, okay, I have 2 more minutes to figure out this photo booth, and then I'm just going to say, okay, this has got to be put on pause.
Yeah.
Because it's more important. We have one chance to get sunset pictures. We could work on this photo booth later.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna cheat this couple from getting sunset pictures.
Yeah.
So yeah, we changed gears. We went into our first dances, and then of course the people that are there want to be around the bride and groom, and they're going to take off right after these dances. But I let the room know, hey, they're going to be taking off. This is why. Let's start the party. Let's start the party without them, so that when they come back, we're already partying, and they can come back into a party.
That's such a good feeling too, as a couple, when you're coming back and everyone's having a good time.
Yes.
You spend all this time and money and planning.
Yeah.
And everyone's enjoying themselves. You get
Right.
to watch, kind of sneak into the party.
Yeah.
That you planned,
Right. So I think it's important to always let the crowd know. Just keep them informed.
Yeah.
Talk to them like people. They want to know what's happening, why it's happening, without being too wordy.
Yes.
But just say, that's a level of respect that you have for them, and they can then return to you.
Yeah.
So,
I felt it really showed in the
Yeah.
party. And so what initially attracted you to DJing?
Boy.
Was it the money? Was it the
in the beginning, it was music. It was literally just the music. This is going way back when I was a little kid, listening to the old Chicago house music, and hitting record on the tape deck. This is, and then playing them back. And it was the Hot Mix 5 out of Chicago and Chicago house music and all of that, the love of that music. And then going to college, seeing the nightclub scene in college, seeing the DJ spinning vinyl, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I need to learn how to do that. I aligned myself with some of the right people. One of my good friends owns a record store.
There you go.
Back in the day, so this is where I
the
shop for
hookup.
records. And I actually DJ'd for him for the first 10 years of my DJ career. I worked for him. And then that flipped at a certain point, and then he would do weddings for me. I tinkered with the idea of being a multi-op at one time. But then I just, not good at managing people. So I just need to stay in my lane and what I do best. And that's where I am now. Yeah.
So that's kind of how you got into it. Why do you stay? What wasn't it for you now? Why do you do it?
Yeah. I think now,
What do you like about it?
boy, oh boy, I think the biggest thing is the reward you get from, when you describe the moment of that surprise that they had when they were out there dancing to their first dance, and all the pictures were coming up of every dance that they've ever gone to, and then to finish with the fact that my wife got me that picture of them on their wedding day, and that was the final picture, and just to see them, and then in a quick scan of the room, and just to see people's jaws, boy, just being able to see those things, to be able to create those moments. I think another thing that we're able to do, and it's almost like a therapist, and I don't like talking pain points with couples, although sometimes we have to when we're talking about, but you're able to, either with sharing the love story or the way you set up a dance or ideas that you come up with that you can give this couple what they didn't think was even possible. So I had a couple, Lauren and Ryan, that were getting married. They got married at the Shed, and her parents were divorced, and Dad could not be around the new husband, although mom and dad had been married a long time. Dad, or stepdad, and Dad was out of the picture. Anyways, he said, I don't know if I could even be at your wedding. And she's a daddy's girl. He loves his daughter. He just can't bear the thought of being in the same room or anywhere near this guy without wanting to knock him out. So I said, well, what's the most important moments for you of this day to have him there for? And she said, I just want my dad to walk me down the aisle. Since I was a little girl, I want him to walk me down the aisle. I said, okay. Anything else? And I was officiating the ceremony as well. So another huge honor when you have the ability to officiate. I said, okay, anything else? And she says, well, I really want to have a dance with him. Like, what girl doesn't dream of having that daddy-daughter dance, right? I said, okay, can I talk to your dad? And this is dad to dad. I have 3 daughters. So I've been, and I know what song I'm dancing with them. I've dreamt of this moment. And I talked to him, and I said, what can I do to make this easier? I know you want to be there for her. How can we make this happen? And he said, well, I just don't want to sit anywhere near him. I don't want to see him at the ceremony if I'm there, but then I'm going to take off right afterwards. I said, okay. I'm going to have you walk her down the aisle. You're going to sit on the opposite side, and it's going to be the outside seat. So you don't have to see him, okay? But you're going to be able to walk her down the aisle. But before that, I said, do you think you could get there about 2 hours early before anyone gets there? And then I talked to her, Lauren, and I said, hey, could you be at the venue 2 hours early? And your photographer and your videographer, can we all be there 2 hours early? Yeah, I can do that. I said, okay. You're going to have a first look with your dad. You're going to have this moment, right? And then you're going to have your dance with your dad. And I'm going to be there. I'm going to be set up 2 hours early. Nobody else is going to be there. And you're going to have this dance with your dad. So you get to have this moment with him. And so she got to have this first look. Like, she got to have this time with her dad on her wedding day that she never thought she would be able to have. Wow. And so the stress that she had around that and is now gone. And Dad got to not feel, he knew he got to be there for her. Yes. And he left her with a letter, and he walked her down the aisle, and he stayed for the ceremony, and then he just disappeared into the sunset, But they got to have that. Yeah. So that's the reward. Yeah. You
gave them a gift.
Yeah.
They couldn't have done that themselves.
No. And
that took planning and effort and,
yeah.
and experience, knowing what you know. And
right.
And listening to what they wanted, what was important to them, and how can we possibly make this happen?
Right.
If you want to dance with them, that's going to be later in the night. It's when it always is.
Right.
And you're like, well, maybe it doesn't have to be then.
Yeah. Let's do it earlier. And so there's no rule book. There's nothing you have to follow. You can move anything in any order, but let's just talk about how it's going to make sense for your day, and how we're going to transition in and out of all these moments so that it makes sense to everyone at your wedding as well. So I don't really have a playbook. It's new every time, although a lot of them are the same order. That's okay. But it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. What the wheels get turning, when they talk about what's important and the challenges, and okay, I have this to work with. How about this?
Yeah.
Have you considered this? Man, that is cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. Well, Eric, I don't want to take up too much of your time. If people are interested in having the kind of experience that you've talked about tonight, what's the best way to contact you, but reach out to you? I
would say probably right to my website, and I am MB Events, and then the number 1, because Mercedes-Benz has MB Events. I didn't think about that when I went from the Music Boys to MB Events, but it is what it is. So it's MB Events, the number 1.com, and that would be the best place right through the website.
I like that. Mercedes-Benz, a luxury car.
Yeah.
MB Events, a luxury wedding experience.
Yeah.
It kind of fits.
It is.
It's on brand.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We so appreciate it. And I'm really excited for you to work with you tomorrow.
I am too.
This has been great. Well, please come back, see us again. I'd love to have you on again. And thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
And guys, this has been the DJ Insider Podcast. I'm Mike with Amplified Events.
And I'm Eric with MB Events.
Guys, we will see you on the dance floor.